Welcome back for another amazing episode of the Third Shield Pokemon Go PvP podcast. Guys, today I have an amazing guest. HomeSliceHenry himself joining us on the podcast. And I want to have him on the podcast for so long. He's such an amazing content creator and one of the fastest rising one as well on YouTube. And I just absolutely enjoy his live streams and also his spice that he uses. So guys, please warm welcome to HomeSliceHenry.
Thank you, Daniel. And I definitely appreciate you taking the time to have me on the podcast.
Of course, I was so excited to have you, and I right away wanted to bring up a few things because you have been running some really cool teams, and you have been featuring some really cool teams on YouTube, and not to mention your Shuckle logo is already speaking for itself. You know that what kind of teams you're using, and you know right off the bat, I wanted to ask you that. How do you feel about this season? So season 6 versus let's talk about season 4 because season 4 was like the real season with lots of ups and downs. So compared to that, when did you hit rank 10 or AKA legend this season? And how do you feel about it comparison to season 6 versus season 4 as far as easiness or hardness to hit it?
Great question. Yeah. And so with season 6, I ended up hitting legend, probably about a week to a week and a half ago, I think. And I ended up hitting it in the Open Ultra League. And I was using a team of my own creation, the Dragon Breath Gyarados lead with Shadowclaw, Altered Giratina, and Double Legacy Lapras in the back. And I've had that team. It's very similar to Oxford's Double Ice team, in which he leads. It's the same team, but he leads Articuno, I lead Gyarados, but they function very similarly. And so that was the team that I rode for Legend. And with comparison to season 6 to season 4, I think they were challenging in different ways, to be honest. With season 4, Niantic really changed the K factor quite a bit. That's basically how much you're going to gain or lose rating based on your wins. So for example, this season, the K factor is probably around 13. I would say that's probably the average for a 3-2, you're going up 13. And so they had adjusted the K factor quite a bit throughout season 4, and that did make it difficult because if you had a really hot streak during a period where you couldn't go up much, and then you were really bad when you dropped a bunch, then you could actually have a positive win-loss ratio and still not end up necessarily where you wanted to be. But I would say season 6 was probably harder, just because I feel like every season the competition keeps getting stronger. There's more and more people getting involved and more people learning advanced mechanics. Like there's people learning fast move denial, like deferring fast moves, counting fast moves, and all of that is really upping the level of play. So combining that also with the fact that Ella was completely reset to start the season, I would say season 6 was probably the harder season for sure.
That makes all sense, especially with the move changes and everything. And the Excel, I forgot about that as well. What was your initial thought on Excel in a way that when you saw it coming out, did you have like a list of Pokemon that you wanted to tackle right off the bat, or you tried to stay away from it at first?
Yes. So with XL, I wanted to make an XL level 50 Shuckle. Unfortunately, with the season, they took Shuckle out of the nest rotation. So I am eagerly awaiting its return to the nest rotation so I can make my level 51 Shuckle. My Shuckle is currently, it's 100 IV. It's currently level 41 and a half with the best buddy boost. So that is my main weapon, because that way, if I'm ever in a 500 CP and under tournament, dominate, because Shuckle is so overpowered for its level. Besides that, in more serious terms, I think the XL rollout has provided kind of new for Pokemon that may not necessarily have had a chance to shine. With the extra levels, may get an extra chance to shine. I would really prefer even if, let's say, players under 40 can't power up to XL, if they would still be able to accumulate XL candies. So that way they would have a bunch ready to go when they hit level 40. That would be my one critique. But all in all, I think it has been fairly balanced. I mean, I know some people have expressed some discontent with Ultra League feeling a little bit like Great League Part 2. But all in all, the XL Mons, while powerful, don't feel too overpowered. They do seem to fit into the meta fairly well.
That's a good point. And then that Shuckle sounds very dangerous. It's super, super tanky. It's the highest defense in the whole game, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And it's even higher defense than what you call it, the Woobuffet.
Yeah.
But Woobuffet is nasty as well. As far as for Great League, so Great League, what was your favorite team and what were you running most of the time?
Yeah, great question. So for the first half of Great League, so for the first half of season 6, I was running Air Slash, Tropius, Greninja, and Obstagoon. So it was basically Flyer and double Night Slashers. And I really, really liked that team. Unfortunately, with the move update halfway through the season, Bubble got a nerf, and that really, really hurt Greninja because Greninja was already fringe viability. So any nerf to its moveset really did end up hurting and flipped quite a few important neutral matchups from not in Greninja's favor. And then after that, for the second half of the season, I kind of bounced around between a couple teams, but one team that I did enjoy was a fellow in my Discord server, Draco Bound, hit legend running Venusaur, Sableye, and Bastodon. So I gave that team quite a bit of run for a while, and it did work quite well for me as a replacement.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed by that, what you said, the Greninja, because it was such a high anticipated Pokemon. It was even trending when they released it. Like, it was trending on Twitter and
Yeah.
for like 2 days straight. And it just shows you how excited people were. And not only most people don't even have one because it's almost impossible to get one, but but then they did them dirty. So once you actually spend the dust and everything, and then you were like, all right, I can make this work, which you did, and you did amazing with it. I was watching those videos, and
Thank
then
you.
then after that they're like, all right, let's nerf Greninja, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it hurts. Hopefully, I've heard in the main series games, and granted, I haven't played the main series games just because growing up, my parents were like, go outside, which is a good thing, but I just didn't play them. I've heard that it has a like exclusive move called Water Shuriken, which is a fast move. So I'm hopeful that they'll introduce that to hopefully offset the bubble nerf because it is, as you mentioned, a very, very fun Pokemon. And as you mentioned, the accessibility of it has been tough. I'm really lucky in that the city that I live in, there's a giant river that goes through it. So we have a lot of like river and water biomes. So I didn't have as much trouble as some. But for those who, let's say, like live in California, Nevada, places that don't have a lot of water biomes, it's going to be really hard to find those Froakies outside of basically Go Battle League rewards.
Yep, exactly. And I really hope so. Like what you said would be awesome if it would get this move. I was hoping and thinking that with these new releases, then Niantic, instead of Roselia, of course, for Human Today, they would start introducing these Pokemon like Greninja, for example, Froakie Human Today, or whatever. All these, because all the ones that they, or even Brixen. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? The that's the second
Bell
evolution.
Fox, yes.
Yeah, there we go. So all of those Pokemon are decent right now. Like I would say it's below. I would say a little bit average and maybe a little bit under it with right now.
Yeah,
But if it would get like a Cumulative move, they would be very good Pokemon. And I was literally expecting Niantic to do that.
absolutely.
And maybe it's still doing that. They just wanted to be funny with the February as roses.
Yeah,
That's
that
why they
makes
did it.
sense. Absolutely. The one that I think they did knock it out of the park with was Chestnut.
Oh, that's true.
Chestnut, yeah, day one had really good viability, phenomenal move pool, and the ability to really have play against both Galarian Stunfisk and Azumarill is absolutely huge. So basically all you have to do is just make sure that you run it with flyer coverage. I in the 2700s one day I ran Chestnut, so the standard moveset with Vine Whip, and then I had Smackdown Bastodon and Smackdown Gigalith. And despite being in the 2700s, went positive on the day because its biggest weakness is going to be flying and fire, and Smackdown covers both of those super, super well.
Oh my god, you were running Gigalith? I tried it. It's super glassy.
Oh, it is so glassy. But the one benefit is even though it's not nearly as tanky as Bastodon, it has a much higher attack stat. So those Smackdowns can actually do some legitimate damage.
That sounds really spicy, and that's exactly what I was talking about. That with the teams that you are running is just so amazing, and Speaking of teams, what are you expecting or wanting to run once Premier slash Masters come back up?
Ooh, that's tough. For Premier and Masters, with all of the like level 50s and XLs coming out, I'll be honest, I haven't put as much resources into it as I probably should have. I've been more focusing on just building more Great League Mons. I actually finished building my rank 3 Great League Furret yesterday. So when Master Premier comes around, I will probably try out the Love Cup. I'll be honest, probably haven't done as much research as I should have, but I'm at the point of the season where since I have hit legend, I can afford to kind of, try it as I go. And if I have a couple bad days where I just get absolutely whooped in the Love Cup, that's fine. Like I hit legend, I can run fun stuff. And that's been one thing that I've really enjoyed about the longer season is I know some people are saying, oh, I hit legend, I'm kind of bored. To me, this has honestly been my favorite part of the season because I've been able to really try Pokemon that I haven't necessarily been able to for fear of tanking Elo. So the fact that now I've hit legend and I can just kind of comfortably ride out the rest of the season is something that I think Niantic actually did a really good job on.
I have to agree with you because I really enjoy this as well. So just like what you said, I'm loving testing out these new teams. And also while I'm doing that, I would put it this way, I'm gatekeeping, but I'm not hardcore gatekeeping because I'm not running meta. I'm running spicy Pokemon that I'm supposed to lose with. So if I win with, then good for me. And unfortunately, they need to try again. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel
Yes,
like okay with it.
absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed the several Noibat streams because you're a brave soul investing all that rare candy in there. I'm pretty sure I still have like 6 Noibat candy and probably will do forever until they make it more common.
Yeah, and if anybody thinking about investing into Noivern just because they saw that it was Swampert, don't do it because it's definitely not safe. I highly don't recommend it. And then as far as for so yeah, I'm with you with Masters and Premier. I'm not really looking into it, and I don't even have anything built for it, by the way. But Love Cup, yes. So Love Cup, I didn't look into much Love Cup. I practiced with Yonkers. That's about it. And I know you haven't looked into it as much as yet, but you do have some insights as what you might want to try out. What was that you told me before?
Definitely, yes. So I have a couple sleeper picks that I think could be quite good. The first of which is Scolipede. Scolipede honestly has some really nice matchups against the meta. It absolutely obliterates grass types. Being like with its typing, it's going to dual resist any of the Razor Leafs. Plus, with Poison Jab, it's hitting back for super effective. And on top of that, it also has really, really good play against Alamamola as well, which is going to be a big meta monster because it's very tanky and it has waterfall, so it's going to output a lot of damage. So I think that's going to be a really good pick. And I also think that Scrafty is going to be a surprising sleeper pick. The one caveat, of course, is you need to keep it well away from Charmers because it's going to die in like 5 charms. But I think that some of those more off meta picks could be helpful because they'll do a good job of countering a lot of what I'm expecting to see, which is probably a lot of charm, a lot of razor leaf.
Oh, for sure. And not only that, but people don't know how to play against the off meta picks. That's like so many times. Even when I run Noivern, nobody knows what the hell that thing is basically, and they swap in their Swampert and then they quit after that because they realize, oops. You know what I mean? So it's just
Yes.
so cool to pick something like that. And what you mentioned is awesome because most people would not know what to do with it. And and as far as one more thing I want to add to it that I played against Yonkers and Yonkers was using Chansey. And guys,
Okay.
Chansey is freaking broken. So if you have one, go ahead and use it for Love Cup, especially if you need to hit that Legend Steel, because that was nasty. That it's absolutely it's if you remember Bronzone and Baby Cup, it's 10 times worse. So
Oh no.
it's bad
Oh
and
no.
it's bad. It's so thick. I couldn't believe it. I attacked it with Charm, with Counter User, with Warmer Than Trash, with whatever you name it, and it was just standing there. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. So what I wanted to ask you about actually is my favorite topic, which is esports. So
Okay.
first, let's start out with what do you think about it? Where we are currently, with of course Pokemon Go and Go Battle League. Of course, there's lots of work needs to be done. So I'm not, if anybody's listening, I'm not saying that we are esports ready today and we can go at any time. No, what we're talking about is that it's gonna happen because they even said that it's gonna happen.
Yes.
You just want to basically move the scale a little bit and see where we are and what you actually think. So, what do you think about esports and Pokemon Go as of right now, and what you want to see?
Yeah, so I think that it does have quite a bit of potential. As you mentioned, there definitely are some things to iron out with the lag, missing fast moves, just general server instability. But I think it does have a lot of potential. And there's a reason why. Niantic ended up releasing Go Battle League at a fairly good time. Like they released it in like a month later, kind of the world went into quarantine and people were forced to play a lot more Go indoors, which led to a lot more people battling. But you've seen a ton of like exploding in popularity content creators, whether it's Twitch streamers, YouTubers, like a ton of content creators just coming up. And I'll admit it's very, very popular right now. And I think that if they're able to ride that momentum, fix a lot of the issues that people have been reporting, it has a lot of potential. And I think that if they work with, well, maybe not necessarily working with Sylph, but taking a lot of ideas from Sylph, because they've done tournaments for years before GBL happened quite successfully. So if they're able to kind of take a lot of those lessons from there, I think it has a lot of potential, because we've seen in-person tournaments obviously before everything was going on, and they were quite hype. Like the energy was there. So I think there's a lot of potential there. And if they can iron out a few things, I think it could be very big.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. And I love what you're saying about it as well, and especially the in-person tournament is what it's going to change it. And then I keep bringing this up, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it, and almost all of our listeners have seen the video with King and Poke AK when
Yes.
they were battle. You know what I mean? And that was just a little, it's just a little tiny bit of a taste that, hey guys, this is what to expect from Go Battle League. Even if it's once a year, it would have the championship, for example, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
It would have been still freaking sweet. And
absolutely.
I'm really, and it's going to happen. But that was awesome. And of course, they had lots of issues, but hopefully they learned from it.
Yes, yes.
Are you once that happens? Where do you stand? Do you think you are going to pursue esports in Pokemon Go?
I believe that I would. However, probably not in a serious capacity. Like I would definitely start, like if they have like feeder tournaments that you have to place a certain amount of points to qualify or whatever, I would definitely do them. I would probably run very off meta picks and basically just attempt to qualify using absolutely ridiculous Pokemon. Like, dude, look at me and my freaking sock trying to qualify. But so I would probably participate in more of a casual capacity, but I would still definitely try it out and have a lot of fun with it, because it's something I do quite enjoy. And then if I was able to, I probably wouldn't be winning the thing, but even if I could qualify using some spice picks, it is that a huge victory. So that's kind of been my mentality, is like I have been able to hit rank 10, but my goal at this point really isn't to be like one of the best in the world, top of the leaderboards. I just want to more just hit there and then just have fun and really show people that, because I know a lot of people stress about the game, and I do too, because there's times where you're really trying to strive for your goal. You're really trying to get there. And if you get up to like the 2980s and you have a bad day, you're like, man, I'm never going to get there. So my goal is, and I'm not always the best example of this, but I just want to remind people that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to just try some wacky stuff and get absolutely destroyed. Like halfway through the season, I tried a triple fairy team in Open Ultra, where I had Air Slash, Togekiss, Snarl, Grand Bull, and Charm Clefable. And I think I went like 6-19. But each one of those wins felt like winning like an NBA championship. It was like so good.
I can totally see that. I'm picturing it in my mind. That sounds amazing. And the opponent was probably like, "Dang it!"
Right? Yeah.
And in the esports, once that happens, what you're saying is totally fine, because the people who making a living off of, or having fun of, I should say, with esports, is there's three ways technically, but two main ones. One is one who actually absolutely hustle and wins the tournaments and a big cash cup prizes and everything. And but that's the absolute serious one, who is not going to be on as big as the content creator is. So the content creator is the one who puts out amazing stuff, spice and all that, and entertainment, and they are just as big as the number one player, just because it's just two different
Yeah.
style. But the two mixed together is
Absolutely.
not really working
Yeah.
at the top level.
Very much so. Yeah. there's a certain fork in the road you really have to take between really trying to go more down the content creator path and more down just the hardcore like race to the leaderboard path. And I think the content creator one is definitely more comfortable for me because that allows me just to have more fun with it. And that's my goal, is just to have fun with the game and try and enjoy it as much as possible. That's kind of been my goal for the season. And I think I've done an okay job with it, of just making sure that I'm having fun while doing it. Cause I mean, it's a game. May as well have fun with it. So
Definitely. By the way, that reminds me, when do you usually stream, and on YouTube, what time and what days do you usually stream?
yes, so on YouTube, I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central and Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. And I don't really have a video schedule for when I post videos. It's more just when I have something to post, but the stream schedule is usually pretty consistent.
Perfect. And guys, if you don't follow or watch HomeSliceHenry just yet, make sure you actually do that. And don't worry, I'm gonna link him in, so you're gonna be easily find him. And as far as for let's say next season, is there anything that you're hoping for that they do or they change, or what do you, or even if you think that what you're gonna expect, what would that be in season 7 that you would look forward to?
Absolutely. So there are a couple small tweaks I think that they could make that would be really interesting. I would like to see, I'm not quite sure how to implement it, but a bigger rise to prominence for bug types, whether that's a buff for bug bite, whether that's, I mean, infestation did already get a buff, but a buff in terms of bug types, I think a rise to prominence for bug types could be very, very interesting, as well as an increased rise to prominence for poison types. Because if you look, especially in the Great League, and that's probably the league that we as a community focus on the most, there, I mean, as we know for seasons now, Azumarill has kind of run the day. And so almost buffing more counters to it rather than necessarily nerfing that Pokemon more itself, I think could provide more versatility to the meta. Because I think at the end of the day, that's really what I'd be. Oh, and also buff Astonish. Please buff Astonish. I really want to try out. I think it's Cofagrigus and Runerigus that have it. I would love an Astonish buff. I think that would be a very cool as well, and would really allow people to break out of old habits and really try new picks. Because rather than seeing, because for the second half of season 6 in Great League, we ended up seeing basically there was Bastodon double fighter, there was typically a flyer, and then Stunfisk and Bastodon. So there were a lot of ABB style teams that were very cookie cutter, and oftentimes by seeing the first two, you knew the third, just because it was very, very difficult to beat those teams unless you had perfect counters. And of course, there was always the Goon double charm. So it was basically one of those circles where double fighter beats double steel, which beats double charm, which beats double fighter. So seeing just more versatility to the meta to help break us out of that kind of cyclical meta, I think could be very, very interesting. And also just giving love to some underutilized Pokemon. Like it if suddenly they made just something just completely off the wall, like suddenly they make Ambipom, just being able to, whether it's through adjusting like buffing move sets or even giving new moves to different mons, like as you've seen, like they were able to add Incinerate to Typhlosion, and suddenly Typhlosion's usage has absolutely exploded in the Ultra League, and definitely more so in Premier, but I've seen even quite a few Incinerate Typhlosions in Open Ultra, and that was just off adding one move. They were able to give it a ton more viability. And in Ultra, you've also seen, and I know you've tested as well, Ho-Oh with Incinerate has a lot more viability. So being able to add these moves and continually adding more viability to different mons, I think can continue to diversify the meta. So yeah, that would be my dream goal, is diversifying the meta, and more specifically giving buffs to things that can beat the current meta monsters, so that way it can help more even out the Great League meta in the long run.
I hope all of that will happen in season 7. That would be amazing.
I would enjoy that, absolutely.
what what would be something that with season 7 coming up, of course, what do you think would be like a cool change maybe in rewards if you use a premium pass, or just even a regular pass. But I feel like that the rewards of Go Battle League is not as motivating as it could be. What do you think? If you could change it, one thing at least, what would that be?
Ooh, that is a really good question. Yeah, the reward structure, I feel like it does a pretty good job in terms of Stardust compensation, but in terms of items, it can be tough. Like I know for a while, I think I played like a week of GBL battles a couple weeks back and got no charge TMs. I was like, oh, you got to be. And like I wasn't 05 and like I was getting the charge TM slot and it just kept saying, congratulations, here's another Sinnoh Stone for the 83rd time in a row. So I think whether it's even just rotating rewards or and also with the Pokemon pool of Pokemon you can get, being able to either rotate that or just have a smaller pool altogether. I do really like the fact that they brought legendaries back into the pool. I think that is a great change, especially if some people who if they just truly can't get out of their house at the moment and so they're not able to get coins to get remote raid passes and they just can't raid, still being able to have a chance to get a legendary I think is great. So I would really like to see that. And then the rotating rewards I think could be good, and maybe because they did a little bit of that. If you remember back when we were moving through the ranks, I think it was 5, 10, 15, and 20 had those like one of them, it was like 5 encounters. I think if they did something like that, where like once every 5 sets, so once per day, you could have a randomized shot of you get 5 item slots or 5 encounters. I think that could be really good as well, somewhat of a more randomized feel. And also, Niantic's never going to do this because they really want us to pay for this, but I would really like if in the item slot, there was maybe like a 1 in 20 chance of getting like an elite charge TM. Just, it could be rare, but just to have like, it could happen where you like have a good set and you get an elite charge TM, like that would be super nice.
I
Because
agree with you. That part that would be super nice, and I hope at least half of that you just mentioned they would adjust because that we are already one. But as
yeah.
far as for Elite Chartium, what if at least Legend would get 2 or one of each? You know,
Ooh, that would be nice. I like
because
that.
because where do you have to be right now to get it? That the rank what 20?
I think it's ranked 19 or 20. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So it's almost like a free give out. You just have to participate. It's at that point because
Yeah.
anybody can reach rank 20. So which is fine. It's totally fine to get that. But it would be nice if you hit Legend, you get an additional one or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And one thing that I think
Mhm.
Niantic has done a fairly good job of lately is they are attempting to make a lot of these exclusive moves a bit more accessible. Like as you've seen with the events that's happened in the first part of 2021, like you could evolve like a Meganium and get Frenzy Plant. And from what I've heard in the Kanto event, the starters are going to be able to get their Community Day moves as well. And I think that's a really, really good decision because with quarantine happening and everything, a lot of people have gotten back into Go Battle League and gotten back into Pokemon Go because of Go Battle League. And for example, if you didn't have a Meteor Mash Metagross because you weren't playing in 2018 when it happened, that makes Master Premier really, really tough because it's just such a good generalist. So really bringing those moves back in a way that doesn't necessarily evolve an elite TM, I think is a very good decision on their part for sure.
And I totally agree with you because I was there for two seasons straight. I didn't have a Metagross.
Oh no.
And I finally got one. I lucky traded 98% shiny. So
Oh,
I'm pretty excited about
nice.
that.
That is fantastic.
And what I was gonna say, also, lastly, we are almost wrapping this up, guys. So what I want to ask you real quick is that, do you have a daily grind routine or weekly routine where you align eggs or walks or catches or anything whatsoever that you get more Stardust than others, or like a routine, or maybe even a rule that when you spend Stardust or what you spend it on?
I will be honest, I am a profligate Stardust spender. It is rare to have me ever have over 100K dust because I'm always just accumulating more fun spice picks I want to try out in Great League. Like one of the recent ones, I caught a rank 4 plusle. Is it ever going to be good? Probably not, but it's one of those I just want to build and try it because some picks can surprise you. Like we ended Mark's son IRL and I ended up trying Livani on stream, which you know that you tried for a bit as well. And that honestly really, really surprised us by how well it did. Like it just has a really unique part in the meta where it can beat Swampert, Obstagoon, Cresselia, and that's a really good tree. So I'll be honest, I probably don't get out as much as I should. I probably don't get as much dust as I could, but the biggest advice I can give is try and save your star pieces for the dust community days and really play those days hard. Because if you play it right, you can easily get well over 600,000 dust in a 6-hour period and probably even a lot more. And so I would say if you're going to grind, really save your hardcore grinding for those days where you can really maximize your return more than anything. And also just play your GBL sets because you get a decent amount of dust from that as well. So
Very good advice, guys. Make sure to take notes and make sure to take action on it, and because then you're gonna see your starters grow. But as far as for any lost words, so anything to your audience, everybody out there for the Pokemon Go community, to anyone out there that you want to share a message or just want to finish up this podcast with any lost sentence.
yeah, I would say probably just try not to forget to have fun. I know GBL is something that a lot of people are taking really seriously. They're grinding and it can be really frustrating. It's something that I'm really trying to work on because I've seen a lot of people get really frustrated over the game. And I understand why, because they really want to succeed. And sometimes you just get bad lead luck. Like sometimes you'll just be hard countered and that's just a fact of life. So just being able to contextualize that and just making sure that you're always trying to have fun with it, because at the end of the day, it's a game that we are trying to play and have fun. So just making sure that, and I know it's not always going to happen, but just making sure that you're always just trying to have fun, have a good time, because this is a really cool community. Everyone's been super supportive and welcoming. Like I didn't really start my channel until July, and the fact that I'm even on a podcast still blows my mind, to be honest. So just the fact that it's not a perfect game by any means. There are always going to be issues and we're always going to be like, man, the lag, man, Niantic, get it together. But also just remembering to appreciate it for what it is, because without this game, I mean, this whole podcast is centered around the game. Like we would have never gotten the chance to interact. There's so many people who I've met through this community and through this game. So just remembering as well all the good that is done and just remembering to have fun with it. Like I know a lot of people like, oh, you have to hit legend to be successful, but I really think there's no one right way to play this game. If you run spice and you just whatever, you just stay in the 2200s, if that makes you happy, then that's the right way to play the game for you. Like, I don't want everyone to think it's legend or bust. Also, if you do better than what you did in a previous season, that's to be celebrated. Even if it's not legend, still being able to improve. Like in season 1, my highest was 24.99. I couldn't hit rank 9. Then in season 2, I was able to hit it. And that was like Christmas and New Year's combined. I was so happy. Did I hit legend? No, but I actually hit rank 9. I got to 26.99. And then season 3, that was the season. It was on the morning of the new season. So you know how the season usually starts on a Monday at 3. I didn't get there on Sunday. I had to play my sets that morning and I was able to hit legend. So just being able to like still contextualize, hey, even if I'm not necessarily hitting legend or something like that, still just remembering to have fun with it and take into account that everyone's at their own different spot in their GBL journey. Everyone's going to hit legend when they do. Everyone's going to just go with their own pace, and make sure just not to beat yourself up if you're not necessarily there, because this is a fun game. Let's just have fun with it. So
That's right, guys. I hope you actually took notes again, because these are the golden nuggets that you just keep falling, and if you don't catch them, then you're just gonna miss out. I very appreciate everything that you said, because it makes perfect sense, and I know now, why you were able to hit legend is because basically the mindset that you have in the game, and it's just basically the secret recipe. And last, because I almost forgot about this, but when did you actually start playing Pokemon, and how did you get involved?
oh yes. So I started day 2 when it came out. So I believe it came out on like Let me hop in my app real quick so I can look at the exact day. I'm pretty sure it was like July 9th of 2016, and it came out on the 8th or something like that. And I was at Summerfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with my then college roommate, and he's like, "Yo, this game came out. It's about to be big." So I was like, "Okay." I downloaded it, and I was like, "What team should I be?" And he's like, "Well, I'm blue, and I'm not trying to have any beef in our dorm room, so you got to be blue." So I ended up choosing Team Mystic and going from there. And I've played, I mean, there were definitely sometimes like after a year, I definitely played it less so, but so I've been kind of at it from the beginning. And then when they first released the battling, even before Go Battling, just the ability to battle people, I really enjoyed just battling with like my good buddy Tommy or my girlfriend Dana, just battling with them in the Great League. This is before any of us second moved anything or even tried. Hitmontop was my MVP. I now know it's because counter is just a really good fast move, but I just kept destroying with single moved Hitmontop. And then once Go Battle League came out, it was just kind of a natural progression from there to try it out. I'll be honest, I really wasn't very good at it for quite a long time, but it's something where I do try and think back to just kind of starting with just battling against my friends with no consequences and just remembering to just have fun with it, because it's something that I've played for a while, and I do really enjoy playing the game itself as well as the whole Go battling in general.
That's awesome. And first, thank you so much for coming on a podcast and sharing all this info with
Absolutely.
us, because it was absolutely amazing. And I'm very enjoyed talking with you because everything you said is just right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you again for having me on. It's an absolute honor.